in the last 2 years, I lost connection with myself, and I lost myself, basically. If you're pretending, I'm not sure if you're really giving something to others. It feels like you're selling them something. The labour of our pain can be fruitful if we choose to view it in that way. Any time that I felt I've experienced something that has felt a bit unjust, that actually there's knowledge to be gained from that each time.
The Incredible Celeste and I sat down a couple of years ago now, after meeting at the late Queen's Jubilee. I knew her heart straight away. I knew I wanted to listen to it and to learn from her. I was also lucky to meet her just as she was creating her phenomenal new album. Celeste's energy and honesty reveals not only determination to be vulnerable and a true artist, but also a quiet power. A power that takes loneliness and makes communion, where otherness offers togetherness, and where art becomes not just sanctuary, but also solace. As we learn, Celeste's emotional intelligence informs a need to discover the deeper, intuitive Celeste that lingers quietly just below the surface. Oh, we've got to wait. We've got to stop for a second. Maybe it's my mic. So I was talking to Hans about this at the Palace. Did I see you at the Palace?
Yes, yeah.
And I was like, why was she so nervous? He was like, I do not know. There's nothing to be nervous about.
I see.
Talk to me about that.
No, I remember you really put me at ease, and you were like one of the people that I met that just felt really like human and real and kind of like with humility. I don't know, there was just something about you that just really put me at ease. But I think leading up to that period of time, I just had such a difficult year or two, and it's something that I haven't really spoken about that much in like the public, because I guess I've been very much to myself in the last 2 or 3 years and somewhat reclusive in a way. Although I've been working on my music, it's been very quietly. I had a tour planned that was only in the March of that year before the concert at the Jubilee, and I had to cancel those shows because I'd fallen ill during the cycle of that tour. I ended up losing my voice, and so a month leading up to the gig I had to have 2 weeks of complete silence to get my voice somewhat closer to being able to trust that it would do what I wanted it to do, and then had to spend 2 weeks in silence on my own.
How amazing though.
Before this gig.
Was that traumatic or was that a gift?
Well, definitely at the time, I really had to learn a real discipline and like resilience within my own mind, and like finding a mental strength in kind of...
From the silence or from the fear of the voice not holding up?
I think I had to find a strength within the silence. I was really having to like find my inner strength and resilience through it. And then with this really, what would always be quite daunting to know that you're going to go out there in front of hundreds of thousands of people.
With Hans Zimmer as well.
With Hans Zimmer. And then after, sometimes you can kind of experience this crash, because all of a sudden you're exposed to this quiet. So then you don't get a chance to really feel what it feels like to come down for a little while longer.
My really strong belief is that we're all just energetic creatures out in the universe, which is why I've created this space like I have. When you subject a body of energy like you or like me to the stimulus of thousands of eyes, thousands of other energies, thousands of ears, thousands of attention, when all of the energy of everyone in the room turns to you, it has a massive effect on the energetic vibration of the person being viewed.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So when you're on a stage like that in front of that many people, with all of the pomp and circumstance that goes with any big gig, and with the landscape of other artists that are in that gig, vibrationally you're high key. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, this is true.
And it's not focus of people's attentions, it's focus of people's energy.
It kind of beams towards you, and then you are also emitting something.
Well, you're responding, and you're joining. There's only one creative force in the universe, and it's the center of everything.
It's so true.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's so funny you say this because actually I think it was in the summer of 2021 that I really started to think about what do I do with all of that energy, like you said. And I was playing quite big stages and I had a feeling like a lot of people would come, but I also really had no idea how many people really would, because I was experiencing this kind of like out of the pandemic and not having played shows for a year or two, not really knowing what that audience would look like or who they would be. And I went out onto the stage and there was probably, I don't know, 25,000 people or something in one of the parks in London. And I just remember thinking, I really mustn't let this become the boost for how I build up my self-esteem and my confidence again, because I won't be able to just like have this exposure to this many people showing me like, you know, loving affirmations anytime I want that kind of boost. So I remember kind of at that moment, I kind of decided that I would go on stage and I'd receive the admiration and like, but I wouldn't absorb all of that too much and kind of like experience this boost in my own confidence just based on that alone.
When you're in front of 25,000 people,
Yeah.
it's no different actually than if you're in front of 2 people.
Yeah.
If you are the
okay.
reflector of the universal energy. So if you make yourself the center of that moment and all you want to do is give, which is what
Yeah.
you want to do as an artist,
Yes,
right? You want
yeah.
to share your story in
Yeah.
however abstract way you choose, whether it's in a surrealist moment at the Tate Modern, or whether it's something as commercially viable and as successful as Strange became. Does it matter whether there's 25,000 or 250?
Yeah, because you can feel the effect at the same volume internally from when you are within the space of just a small audience at 100 people to a larger scale audience. And I think it just depends on like what they're giving you, doesn't it?
Or does it depend on what you're giving them?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's funny because like when I know I'm performing somewhere, I kind of like start to just place it all within myself in whatever time there is leading up to it that I'm aware that I'm doing it, basically. And I kind of get a feel within myself of what is this room going to be like? What am I going to give? And sort of preparing myself to have enough energy to be able to give everything that I want to. And it's funny because even just speaking to you, like, I'm very aware that you have really seen all of this, and so you must just know it so well.
There's 2 words that I keep bouncing around. Analyst, trust. Analyst, trust. I feel like you analyze everything and then you struggle with trusting your response to it.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
That is definitely me as a person.
Talk about your intuition, because you never wanted to be a singer.
No. Oh my goodness, it's so funny. I love how you just say it like that. You never wanted to be a singer. It was all quite accidental at points, but then it always found its way back to me, I suppose, where when I was 10 years old, my mum had put me in this school on a Saturday morning while she was at work where I could go and dance and do ballet. And so I got a scholarship to go to this school and I went there for a year. But what I felt and what I noticed in being there and what just didn't agree with me fundamentally in who I am was that there was just this feeling that you had to conform to this one way of being. And I wanted to kind of like learn all of the practice, but then be able to do my own thing with it. But it felt like that part was never being introduced as a part of that process. And so after about a year, I remember saying to my mum, I just feel like everybody's a robot and I'm not, I just can't be there anymore. But I suppose like as a child, I always felt like I had this little magic about me, and I did feel like I knew it, although I would still feel quite shy within quite a lot of different social interactions and spaces.
You were confronted with your otherness quite early. Your femininity has a masculine energy as well. With father-son, you know, you're not frightened of the polarities.
Yeah.
I mean, you're very feminine, very elegant, but you have strength.
No, I really feel that within myself. Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Oh, it's such a kind and beautiful observation, yeah. But then I also just accept that there's so much of myself that is just something of its own creation that perhaps I haven't had much say in, and it hasn't been deliberate, but it's just who I am.
There is an urgency in the storyteller's legacy that consumes Celeste's intensity and her intention. There is no desire to be safe, and instead a wisdom that, though she cannot explain it, she trusts and listens to, no matter how loud the external noise around her suggests she should conform to someone else's idea of who she can be or what rules she should follow. In the end, Celeste is an outsider that gets inside your heart completely.
I think mostly what it is for me, I feel like what I can do, and as I do more live performance, I think this year and next year and with my new music, I think I'll feel more assertion and confidence over this sort of statement. But I feel what it is that I can do is it's an emotional telling, I think, and I think that's what people have always taken in coming to see me, is that it kind of just like pinpoints a moment where they've felt a way that I can produce this feeling on stage for them.
There's a quietness. Where does your quietness come from?
I'm a really introspective person and a thinking person. I wake up in the morning and I call it think time, because sometimes I wake up and I could just lay there for 2 hours or 3 hours just like letting in all of those thoughts that come at the beginning of the day. You know, there's a moment that's like you're not completely awake, but you're not asleep anymore. And you can have quite profound realizations in that moment. And sometimes I just like to stay in that space and like let that go on and on and on. Sometimes I'm late to things because I've kind of got stuck there a little bit. And I've kind of had to learn some mechanisms of how to like not let that sink me too far into a day of not doing anything, because sometimes they're really productive thoughts and really beautiful conjurings, and sometimes they're really exact and precise thoughts of people will just come to me and think, I need to speak to this person today, or I need to ask this today. But sometimes it can be more of a dwelling space, and then that's dangerous for me.
Why is it dangerous?
Because then that's where it's kind of laced with the more anxious thoughts and negative thoughts and dwelling on interactions that I've had that haven't felt positive. And that's not like the best start for me to then go into the day and be a physical person in my day kind of thing. So, but sometimes it's in that moment that I can really exact plans that set me on to exactly where I need to be or where I want to be.
Where do you want to be?
It's a good question, because sometimes I feel scared of saying what that is and knowing if that's what I truly want. But I do feel like from quite a young age and not really knowing exactly what it was that I wanted to be, sort of, if you like, the vehicle to find my way to that. I think when I was 16, I was really into fashion and I kind of wanted to go to Central St. Martin's, but then a lot of my close friends were applying to those places. And it's really funny because I kind of had this thought, and I remember having a best friend at the time, like, that I would just let her have that space. But a part of me felt like I knew that if I wanted to, I could just go and do that. And I had this music class, and that seemed to take me in a direction. So then I just started to go with that. But I've always just wanted to just be the best at whatever it is that I do. And in school, I used to run like the 200 meter sprint every year, and I won it every year from like 11 years old to 16 years old. And it was just, I always wanted to be like, well, my perception of the best dressed. And I still have that sense and that feeling and understanding of like, if I'm going to do something, then that is where I want to be within it. And I suppose like within a musical career in the public eye to some degree, sometimes the measure of success within that is captivating the most amount of people that you can. And
the trap.
being global. Yeah.
The trap.
Do you call that the trap?
I call that the trap, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't. Why do you call it that?
The trap is addressing commerciality as the primary reason to do something, rather than artistry as the only reason to do something.
Yeah.
The responsibility of an artist is to be in the channel and allow the channel to take them where it wants to take them.
Yeah.
Therefore, you're vulnerable. The minute we fall into the trap of going, and now I have to make it successful on someone else's terms,
Yes, yeah.
where are we then?
Yeah, and how do you measure your own sense of whether you're successful or not? I think when you said the trap, I kind of interpreted that as, for me at this stage and where I'm at, is kind of being at a point where I've had some success and I've come to being known in some spaces, and probably there's a stage where like quite a lot of England would have known who I am and or at least heard my voice. And I guess I've been kind of trying to come to the understanding with myself at the moment, which is like the trap is chasing this idea that you still want to be like this world famous kind of fanciful creature like thing that everybody knows about and everybody sees. And then I've just thought about like what it is to then go beyond that.
But you're talking about external validation there, aren't you?
Do you think that's what that is? Yeah.
Because I when I think about success, I think about Kate Bush and I think about Erykah Badu.
Yes. I suppose it's like some of even the women that we've been speaking about today, like Diana Ross and Shirley Bassey and Tina Turner and people like that I've always looked up to since I was a child. You've seen them have these long-term careers as singers and as performers. But of course, then there's other people, perhaps maybe like Donna Summer, from my understanding, that at one stage she kind of said like, oh, I've had that part of my life and now I'm going into the next phase, which was completely not to do with her as a pop star and having had a musical career.
That's why I'm so interested in you, because this shy mask that you wear hides a massively strong intent.
Yes, I see. Yeah, I really do have that within myself. Yeah. And it's not kind of like I hide it for any... It's funny because there's been times where I've been, when I was younger, and even a little bit at the moment, where I've like quite enjoyed being the underdog and quite enjoyed people assuming that you don't really have much more to offer, or assuming that you don't really have what it is you need within you to do these things that you would like to do.
Just had a flash of, like in the animal kingdom, and I hope it's not an insult.
Yeah.
You'd be like a giraffe.
Yes, I love giraffes.
Just because you'd see everything before anyone else.
Okay.
And you'd be so majestic no one would harm you because they wouldn't dare, because they wouldn't know what you were capable of.
Yeah.
But you would be fragile also.
Yes, yeah. No, that's exactly how I am. It's funny, I think there's this little quiz you can do. My friend did it with me once on a car journey, which is something like, say your favourite animal, and that's how you really view yourself, and then you say the other one and it's the partner you would like or something. And I think mine was a giraffe and a cat. Because I like how independent and aloof cats are.
Me too.
Yeah.
Are you conscious that you filter experiencing real interaction with some sort of intuitive, and I wrote down distrust, but I think that undermines where you're at, because I think it's not distrust, it's just sort of some sort of super wisdom somewhere hiding.
Maybe, yeah.
Do you notice that of you, or is that gobbledygook?
No, I really feel that within myself. It's just also going through, I think there's like different phases in life where sometimes like you can lose a bit of touch with what that intuition is, and then it's just regaining some sense of trust over it again. And so I think that's kind of like the phase I'm in at the moment, where like I can still spot things pretty quickly, but there's times where I'm still second guessing it ever so slightly, but really I know. But perhaps in the last year, what I've done to prove myself wrong or right is I've allowed it to cross over the line of what I would have usually done with people before, which is I'll just spot something, then I go, okay, no, like that's going over there. Whereas in the last year, I've kind of let people show their side in a way which could come to afflict me ever so slightly, but not enough for it to completely.
Well, that's a Maya Angelou quote, isn't it? If someone shows you who they are, let them.
Yes, yeah. It's so true. So
when I think about Strange,
yeah,
it's beautiful. Obviously, it's super well received.
Yeah.
But I sort of bank it. And therefore I care less about it than something like Not Your Muse. Because you challenge me in songs like that.
I see. This is good news. Yeah.
Is it? Why is it good news?
Because there's lots more music like that to come on my second album. Yeah.
Well, Every Day is that.
Yeah, okay, I'm glad you feel that
Every Day is an attack on preconceived reality.
Yes, which is important for me.
Why are you going there?
It's funny the way that song came about. It was so almost accidental and an anomaly in the way that it came about, especially in the way that I've been writing for the last 10 years or so, which has been very much like in the institution of going into this session with a co-writer, going on the piano with a concept and a title and like seeing what comes out. Whereas when I first started writing when I was 18, it would be that way, but it would be me just going on the mic and just saying whatever I said and letting that be the song. Whereas then came a little bit more, maybe being self-conscious and thinking, okay, but now people are going to hear this, so how would I like to come across? And then as well, working with co-writers means sometimes another person's voice comes in, which can sometimes then take away a little bit from who you are, or it can exaggerate a part of yourself that's not exactly how you want to be heard. And with Every Day, I was just at this party and the DJ, I think it was Blaise Belleville, he kind of started Boiler Room. And he played this Death in Vegas track. And I just remember hearing it and feeling like, this is really familiar, this song, but I don't know it, but I feel like I know it. And it has that intoxicating layering to it, which is what I always really liked in the music I heard growing up, which was kind of like psychedelic music and rock and roll music.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I found it really intoxicating. Like there's a version of Gloria that the Doors had done. And I remember hearing that maybe when I was 15 or 16. And I had just discovered that myself on YouTube, but off the back of the music that my mum's boyfriend was listening to around the house. And I've never been into drugs, but at that stage, that's what I imagined, this kind of heightened state that this music could take you to is what I imagined drugs would make you feel like.
Well, I was going to ask you if you've listened to whether you heard when it came out Black Star Bowie.
I didn't hear it.
You've got to listen to it. If you listen to the Black Star track itself, 10 minutes long, because I feel like there's a bit of Thelonious Monk somewhere hiding in what you do.
It's funny because like everything you've picked up on, I feel like you know me so well, and like I feel like you just looked at me and you've just seen everything.
I listen. Yeah. My soul ears are always open.
Yes, you're amazing.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah.
But let's push forward a little bit, because I want to know how you got from if you want to reach people. And Craig David said this in this room a couple of weeks ago. He said, I want to reach as many people as I can.
Yeah.
So if I have to learn some tricks of the trade and create some structures that people are used to in order to get them to listen.
Yeah.
But if you want mass ears on, is structure okay?
Yes, I see.
And that's why I encourage you to listen to Black Star, because he's dying when he's making that album. But he takes all of the early Lodger stuff from Berlin and he somehow brings a bit of Thelonious Monk back in and he somehow makes a pop record.
I see. Yeah, that's incredible.
Am I overanalyzing you, or is that a bit of an intention with you? Is to be within structure but also be an outsider?
Yeah, I think it comes from so many different things. Like especially on my first album, it was my first time being signed by a major label. And I think sometimes artists struggle because they feel like they're constantly being compromised. and constantly compromising their identity, and they don't know if they're gonna get the reward and the payoff that they wish to seek out.
What's the reward though? What's the payoff everyone's expecting?
Yeah, I think it's so different for everyone. Like for me, definitely on this album, it's about feeling that I'm fulfilling, having something that's out there that's representative truly, really truly of who I am. And I think sometimes as an artist, you're always like disregarding that. You're just like, you don't want any of that really involved in your project. You're just like, no, I just want it to be purely coming from the vein of my own intuition and what I feel is right and what I think is right. And you don't really want to have those conversations which kind of like place rules upon things, or place kind of like, well, this is what usually happens, so we should try to filter some of this in for it to work. I kind of always want to ignore all of that. I'll always listen to people. I think that is, it's not good to just not listen to people at all. I think you should always hear them and let it sink in.
So what's the difference between, on two sides of the coin?
Yeah.
Being listened to and being heard, and listening to someone and hearing someone.
Exactly.
What's the difference?
For me, listening is just like, it's in your ear. You're there and you say, yes, yeah, okay, thanks. And hearing someone, sometimes they might not even think you're listening, but you've actually really taken on and absorbed what they have said. And you live with it, and then you think about it over time, and then you live with it a bit more. You think about it over time, and then if it sits right with you, you eventually do something about that thought that's been shared with you, or you don't. But I think most of the time, whatever anybody has shared with me in that way, it definitely comes in just enough for me to feel like it hasn't completely taken away from my own sense of the direction and my own identity, but enough to harness.
Celeste is a modest but much needed voice in the world right now. I'm not sure we even listen to an artist like Celeste. I think they happen to our heart and somehow reflect our secrets back to us, like a confessional we never knew we needed. It's often lonely in what we call the artist space. It's an unstable road that we travel full of potholes. But I do wonder, through talking to Celeste, if we are really ever alone on that treacherous path. If we are willing to find something to trust somewhere out in that unfamiliar landscape.
But who is your music in service of?
This is so interesting, because it's like, I feel like I know the right answer, which is that it's for other people. And I think in the way that music has come to me, and that I feel I was just born with a singing voice, it's not something that I've worked on particularly for it to exist. And in the things that I've experienced in my life that haven't always been so easy, and that I feel I have this gift, if you like, even though sometimes it feels a bit arrogant to say that, it feels like I have this for other people to experience it. And even if it's just a small amount of people, and just knowing that some people message me and say that it got them through like losing somebody, or and all of those sorts of things.
But it did. This is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Because what's getting them actually through?
For me personally, I feel it's my voice. I don't even necessarily feel like sometimes it's the words that I'm singing. I think sometimes it's just a feeling that my voice is offering people of comfort,
or
recognizing that I'm holding something or experiencing something that they are.
So it's a reflection.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I always say that when I take a photograph of someone, it's a portrait of me in that moment with them. Any nice picture or good picture, whatever you. I don't like. Again, grades of things are so troublesome for me.
Yeah, yeah.
But any picture I've received from another human that has been recognized as important has been a moment I remember about myself more than I remember about them, where I was in my head.
I see. And where do you think you have been in those times? Confident?
Honest.
honest, okay.
Frightened.
Yes.
Vulnerable. Does ego leave when truth enters, I guess, is the question. And if we're in service to art, are we all just a reflection of each other? And therefore, does success even exist?
Yeah.
Big question.
No, it is a big question. It's funny because when you were speaking about some of the people you were speaking about that you view them as successful, like Kate Bush or Prince, my sense within that was it wasn't about a commercial success. It was about a sense that they had resolved and finished what they were here to do.
Is that not transitory?
Definitely, yeah.
What's the cost of that? And the cost-benefit ratio?
Yeah, it's interesting that you asked that. I think it's hard to calculate the cost until perhaps you've seen if there's a consequence once you've put that out there in the world. And so perhaps that's one cost, is that people have to experience discomfort if they're not fully with you. And you might have to experience some of that discomfort if you can feel that they're not fully with you. And if you feel as though they're not with you, what it is really important for you to maintain and retain within that moment is you completely believing in yourself throughout anybody else's distrust, basically.
My teacher, when I was young as a dancer, one of our exercises, we used to stand still for 6 hours of one day, once a week.
Wow.
And he would say, you have to stand still because if you can be in control of your body completely, when you move a fingertip, it will mean something. So you have to lose control in order to gain control at a high level.
Yes.
Is that the bridge that you're trying to cross as Celeste the musician, is to be spontaneous?
Yeah.
Out of control,
yes,
but no, like Jackson Pollock, you've got the training in the background there that you can go grab.
100%.
Talk about that.
It's like, I know where I want to come back to, but I have to kind of go a bit wayward to also find a new territory and like a new discovery. And I think it's also just parallel to where I'm at within myself, or I've been at within myself, which is that definitely in the last 2 years, I lost connection with myself and I lost myself.
Why?
Basically. It's just some way that I am that I can't quite
comes back to trust,
put
doesn't
my
it?
finger on. Yeah.
How do we gain trust?
Yeah.
What do we have to do to be trusted?
I know how I have been able to gain trust with others, and I suppose it's just been, for me personally, over a period of time, seeing that they deliver something consistently that makes me feel safe. And hopefully how others can gain trust within me is offering some feeling of consistency that this person is safe and that you are safe. And mostly where I've been able to offer that and see that in its exchange is in love, really, and in those kinds of relationships.
What's the only thing that does work?
Trust in yourself, I think. Yeah.
Another word with TRU at the front of it.
TRU. Truth. Okay, yeah.
Trust is truth.
Yeah.
And the truth is, the song has been around longer than any of us.
Yes, yeah.
And the sound of that primordial yawp.
Yes,
that emotional scream that a child makes when it comes out of its mother's tummy.
Yes.
That's music.
Before it became something that we could engineer
even language.
Into...
Even before language, there was sound.
Yeah.
We listen before we're formed in the belly. It's our first sense. So if trust is truth, if we don't offer truth, we can't be trusted.
It's so true. Yeah.
But what does that make us? Vulnerable.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's what it is. It's like, even in this conversation, it's like, I trust you, but it's like beyond you, and where it goes out there in the world is like where I'm protective over like certain subjects or certain ways of addressing certain topics. And that is why, because it makes you vulnerable and you're not sure then how you're going to deal with whatever that is.
A part of what we're doing here is planting seeds in you and me. I'm not here to listen to what you tell me.
Yeah.
I'm here to learn about myself through what you show me and what you teach me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'm definitely learning from you even.
Yeah. So let's talk about owning yourself.
Yes.
That's a Brené Brown thing. She said, and I found it, I now see how owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we will ever do. I feel like you've stepped across that this last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I hadn't heard every day until today.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so she's owning it.
Yes.
Where's that courage come from?
A need, like an urgent need to do so. The main thing that happened for me is I think I'd always have this feeling of loneliness. And I think perhaps I'd always experienced that from quite a young age, but not quite known how to describe that and understand that. I mean, I feel like sometimes people can feel quite ashamed of being lonely or saying that they're lonely because it can make it seem quite weird. And like there's this word loner, which then also suggests that you're quite weird in your own time. And actually, I think some of what you were describing earlier of how you've seen me is a reason of why I've experienced that in my life. And just being honest with you, and I really don't like to talk about it that much because I've tried to really leave it in the past. But
being lonely? It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Here's the catch there.
Yeah.
We're born alone, we die alone.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we run for it.
But we do. Are we born alone? Because you're out of your mother's womb, and they're there. They're like the first person you're with, and that you see, and you're.
But they're not you.
You're close to. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and you are so.
And you're only 50% of them.
Everyone is so their own person. Yeah.
No one comes into the world with us.
Yes. Yeah.
We come through someone, but there's no one holding your hand as you walk into the world.
Yeah.
You have to get out yourself.
Yes.
You get support,
true.
but if you, and the same as when you die, you have to be the one who chooses to let go.
To go. Yeah.
Body willing or mind able or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm challenging the idea of being lonely as a negative thing. Being alone and being lonely are separate issues.
Yes, absolutely.
Being lonely is an artist's price.
Do you feel that is something you've seen across different artists that you've
felt?
Yeah.
The experience of putting out there is the loneliest I ever feel.
Yeah.
The experience of making it is the most united I ever feel. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. So for me, I feel that feeling of a heightened level of fulfillment when I feel like I've written my best song. And for me, during that process, there's usually other people involved. There's songwriters, there might be a musician. And then as well, I feel that same level of fulfillment when I'm making a great video or a great piece of artwork or a great costume or something like that. And I feel a connection to the people that I work with, but the greater connection and the bigger connection is between me and the work itself.
That's beautiful.
Is that how you
Absolutely.
mean? Yeah.
It's a feeling, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And it's my feeling. It's not anyone else's feeling.
Yeah, so
it's
true.
my loneliness in that black space.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And only I'm responsible for that. So the question there is, our loneliness is a rejection of our aloneness?
Our loneliness is a rejection of our aloneness. I suppose the way I interpret that is kind of like, for me personally, sometimes when I've felt lonely, there's been periods of time where I've been in denial of that state. So that's kind of how I'd interpret that. But is that what you mean? Or
I try to embrace loneliness as a pathway to the stories which have to come through me.
Yeah.
And it's the price I pay for being an artist, perhaps.
Yeah.
There's two things I wanted to talk about. When we were doing the Love is a Losing Game video.
Yes. Oh, it's brilliant.
I said to Amy, let's cut the beehive off.
Yeah, did you? Yeah.
And she was like, can we do that?
Yes.
No one else wanted to do that.
Yeah, because...
And I said, you're trapped in that hair.
Yeah.
And you'll never get to the next album if you don't get rid of it. And we wrote a video script together where she cut her hair off on the side of the street and Blake was on the other side of the street and the band were in the middle of the street. But then the universe conspired to not let us do that in various ways. And we end up making a different kind of video. You cut your hair off.
Yeah.
Because you didn't feel like you anymore.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Well, it's funny because I'd had this afro hair and I'd always had these different hair journeys of struggling with my hair, damaging it and all of these things. And then I'd finally gone from having straight weaves to one day, I remember, it was when I'd first moved to London. I had no money and the weave with the straight hair just started to look awful. So I took it all off and I did my hair really nicely. And again, I suppose external validation, everyone's reaction was like, oh my God, you look amazing. Blah, blah, blah. And so I just started to wear my hair and I really liked it. And also I felt like people felt more comfortable that they could sort of tell what my ethnicity was once I had my natural afro hair. Whereas when I had straight hair, people wondered if I was Persian, people wondered if I was Indian, and people always wanted to know, like, what are you? And as soon as I had my natural hair, things started to move forward in my career, like the momentum started to gather with that as well. And I did feel like there was a correlation there between my hair and how people were able to identify me, and also my hair and just feeling like, oh, I'm free and I'm actually being myself. And that felt right.
Because what you've just talked about is becoming your truth.
Yeah. So it happened then when I first revealed my natural hair, if you like. And I felt, again, akin to like a point in my childhood where I felt really confident. I had my natural hair and I was quite wild. But then I started to damage my hair from doing it every day, because then all of a sudden I started to have a performance each day or a TV thing and I had to look a certain way, or felt like I did. And then came this wig. So I had an afro wig then, which was the same texture as my natural hair. And as time went on, the wig was just becoming bigger and bigger and more animated and just more rigid, more cartoon, like more hairspray. And
more you.
Yeah. And then it was kind of like
or less you, actually.
Less me, but it was becoming the caricature, if you like, that people were really being able to study and identify, like, this is what Celeste looks like, kind of thing.
It doesn't really matter anyway.
It really doesn't matter. But where it mattered for me is when I was going home and taking off this wig and not feeling beautiful anymore, because my idea of being beautiful was then attached to this, where I feel I'd become more successful and all of these things that I felt I was worthy of, that I didn't feel I was worthy of until I'd reached a certain point in my career. It felt like it was all attached to this wig or this caricature or this kind of animated version of myself that had come to be. And that's when I realized, oh, I need to get rid of this. And I suppose, kind of like what you were speaking about with Amy, is that I realized if I get rid of this, there's a chance that I lose whatever it is that
all the points.
This statement. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. But I felt as well, I can't be trapped by that, because I can't live with this for much more than, I can't be this pretend thing for 5 years just to have a career.
Perhaps it's about being okay looking around at our own truth and then paying the price of seeing who we really are, paying the price of dealing with the consequence of finding a true reflection. Maybe out there in Celeste's other world, there is a safe place for us all to be just a little bit more dangerous. And if we are truly as brave as Celeste, we will recognise not only what she needs to share with us about her story, but the beauty of the common ground where her heart and our hearts meet.
Well, I'd kind of recognised at a young age, when I started to really think about becoming a singer and wanting to be a singer. And I read back in some of my diaries from about 16, and I never really thought I was so intense about it all. But reading my diaries at that age, I realised I'd really set my sights on that with such intensity. And it was around that age that I sort of started to look at these people and realise that And maybe I don't know if I was wrong or right, but what I'd seen is that people kind of create this magnified version of a part of who they are, and then that's the image that they choose to like blow up and emit to, you know, gain this capital, if you like. And actually what I found is once I was like a recognizable person visually, that I felt like I had to give a lot to people, and also perhaps at any given moment, which I didn't feel quite ready for, and I felt quite exposed. And I think I felt kind of scared actually that I would have to deliver in that way any and every time someone came up to me, and I would have to be whatever it was that they expected of me. You're only showing your best side, really. You're not showing yourself in a vulnerable state ever, because there's kind of like a rollout that takes place.
But why do we have to abide by those rules?
You just don't have to, actually.
Why is it wrong? And it's a question now. Why is it wrong for you to say, I want to feel all my pain and I want to share it?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I want to talk about it every day.
Yeah, I think that has kind of been the decision in my music, in the making of my new songs and everything. But it wasn't really a decision. It was just, that was what I was experiencing, and this is my chosen form of expression that helps me to overcome all of that. So that's what you're going to hear within all of that music. And obviously at some point there's an explanation that is necessary for people to hear and to be heard. But Tina Turner is like one of the people I've looked up to so much, and all of a sudden I sort of realised, I've felt this way myself at points. It helped me to find the tools to overcome some of those symptoms, like feeling disorientated. It was a big one, and loss of connection with self and low self-esteem kind of thing. But what I saw within her story and the films I've watched about her is that something that she really didn't like to encounter was then having a life of having to talk about that trauma over and over again.
Where I think you are, and it's definitely where I am.
Yeah.
As an artist, and also why I'm doing this podcast, is because I want to create space for exploration, not explanation.
Yes, yeah. It's such an important difference to set out.
Love is back.
Yeah.
I love the concept, but also I don't fully understand it, because you are love.
Oh, yeah.
And you avoided using the word love for such a long time, and then you wrote love is back.
Yeah.
Why, when your essence is love? Because to be an artist, your essence has to be love.
Yes, it's so true.
Why did you reject it?
Maybe because I felt like I hadn't experienced it yet in a way that I truly understood what it really, really was and what it really, really is. And obviously, if you're fortunate, you experience that from a parent. And I've definitely experienced that from my mother and from my grandparents.
But you lost it.
I think, to be honest, if I really go into an explanation of it, it's like
exploration.
Yeah, I lost my dad when I was 16, but he hadn't been in my life since I was about 2 or 3 years old. And now I understand, but I didn't understand it until I was 16. And then again, in the last 3 or 4 years of my life, what I actually lost in losing that person, and what I was absent of in him not being in my life really from around 3 years old. But it was interesting because recently I met my grandfather, which is my dad's dad, for the first time in my life.
Oh, wow.
And I felt so unlike him in that way, which is kind of like, I just know who you are because you are me and I am you.
You got to see a mirror.
Yes, and I felt that with my father when I met him properly as an adolescent, close to becoming an adult, around 16, or not as close as I thought I was. And what I lost in not having him there, I think, created this huge void. And although I had such a showering of love and affection from my mum and from my grandparents, that just that person not being there, I felt this kind of not completely understanding and feeling at peace with who I am on this earth kind of thing.
To choose Leonard Cohen for a minute, are those moments of loss and loneliness that we're talking about, are they the cracks that let the light in?
I think so, yeah. And actually, it might sound like, I don't know, not for some people if they're going through this and they're really struggling with it, but I think sometimes for those things to happen, it's tragic and it's really hard to overcome. But once you do, you realise that you've been quite fortunate to be able to have the enlightenment that can offer. I definitely experienced that when my dad passed away when I was 16, and I think it's probably quite cliche, and I'm sure a lot of people experience this, but I just remember thinking, I have to do something with my life now. I can't just be sitting and waiting for something to happen. And that was definitely a catalyst for that. But it's also offered me so much more understanding of hardship that you may face in life, in a way which is kind of just like accepting that death is an equal part of what it is to live, kind of thing. And
is there a space where you can recognize it as potential, loss as potential?
Yes, definitely. Although I would really not want to face much more loss in my life, but I'm aware that it is to come. I think it's a choice to view it in that way, but I also think that the labour of our pain can be fruitful if we choose to view it in that way. Any time that I felt I've experienced something that has felt a bit unjust, that actually there's knowledge to be gained from that each time.
Well, the other great Buddhist mantra is the only way out of suffering is through suffering.
Yes, yeah.
Now, of course, we don't want to suffer.
Yeah.
But I think the relationship to sufferance is what changes our lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Through this conversation, has your relationship with the concept of loneliness changed?
Well, I think even just being here and speaking with you today has been one of those conversations I actually won't forget, because it's so rare, but it offers you so much when somebody actually recognises a lot of who you truly are, and in a way which isn't uncomfortable. It gives you a confidence to just like ascertain that further and not try to eventually conform into something that makes other people feel more comfortable, basically.
I'm always trying to be a mirror. I think being a mirror for each other is the most powerful thing we can do, because if you see yourself in every man and every man in yourself, you will never be unhappy. And what that really means is, if you're willing to look at someone and go, I can see that little corner of loneliness, I share it with you.
Yes.
And therefore, we don't have to be lonely.
Yes, yeah.
Because by being vulnerable to yourself and showing it, are you not offering something to the audience? That's a question.
Yeah, I think that's your only true offering. If you're pretending, I'm not sure if you're really giving something to others. It feels like you're selling them something. And actually, I think people spot it very quickly when you're not being honest with what you're doing, and they tend to then kind of edge away from whatever that is and go towards something that is offering truth, basically.
And as you approach this next phase then, what's your mantra for that?
What's my mantra? Do whatever I like.
That's a good mantra.
Yeah, I think that's kind of been it since the beginning, but I think it's just about, the main thing for me is really about following my sense of intuition and my gut in what it tells me when I hear something. It can be one note and it could be the right note, but it doesn't feel right, kind of thing. And it's all of those things and how they align with the visual, how it aligns with what I want to wear on stage, how that then communicates and influences how I want to move on stage, and just having all of that like exactly where it should be in terms of my gut instinct, if you like, being the compass that tells where all of that should be, kind of thing.
That's beautiful. Thank you for being a giraffe for me today.
Thank you for being so wonderful. It's so nice to speak to you.
Yeah. Really, really beautiful conversation.
Yeah.
I asked about 3 of the questions I had planned because
okay.
we went in other places. I'm going to find...